sending the arm, getting it ahead. All right, on that one,
I'm trying to send my back arm a little bit faster.
we don't want to send our back arm fast. Same issue persists.
Okay.
From what we had before.
Turning that back leg.
You showed me. So not so much that. You've done a better job since we met in person. We talked a little bit about that. You can see how you're doing the short step, very similar to the video I actually just put out about keeping the X step really short. And so you can see how your foot is. It's in a pretty good spot. It's not very turned around like before. However, one thing you'll notice right here is notice how lean away from the target you are.
Okay.
And then how we go from kind of like this position to then having to like pull our whole body, and then you can see from this position right here kind of how we're hugging ourselves a little bit.
Okay. And
how the disc is at our back shoulder and then is essentially running into our chest, and then we're kind of dragging it out in a way. And so this is a problem related to essentially how you're coiling and the amount of space that you're creating. The first thing with like when you lean away, if you were thinking, because we are rotating, the most efficient way to rotate would be along one particular axis. But when we go from here to here, we're now moving along multiple axes.
Okay. And
much like going around a funnel or anything that's kind of wider shaped, you're gonna lose a lot of the potential efficiency the further that you get away from the intended axis. But also, when we go from here to here, it can feel very powerful, but what we're doing is we're stealing, in a way, like momentum that could be going into the disc. Like if you're in your car, slam on the brakes, everything jolts to a stop, the things that are loose fly forward. Doing this is essentially braking slowly.
Okay.
So, rather than like if it's here, it's wound up, we're bringing all that momentum into the plant, and then if it stays in relatively kind of in between my feet, over kind of like my pelvis, then the only thing that's essentially loose is the arm flies forward. But as my arm is connected to my torso, if I'm like starting to put the brakes on here and then I kind of ease into it, then I don't get that rapid ejection.
Okay.
The second thing that doing this tends to do is it makes it very, very hard to get fully coiled, because if I'm here and then I try to really, really coil, I kind of like run out of space in many ways, and I run out of a lot of attention. And so I'm not able to get the angle between like my humerus and my chest wider. And so then if I'm starting out kind of shallow and then I'm initiating a lot with the body, you can see how kind of the first reaction is that I get this collapsing angle here, which then can lead to this. But ideally is we create a lot of space so that I have room to drive the arm in, and also room for my body to do the thing that it's doing in terms of rotation, but there's much larger area for error here, and I'm able to get into a deeper pocket and thus have a longer lever at the end and kind of have like a short ejection space, versus when I'm back here, there's a much longer ejection phase that's going on here, if that makes sense.
It does.
So we're gonna just start with how to coil. So come over here, kind of like aim at your target just from the standstill, kind of like we're in the last phase. You have a little bit wider stance on your run up, so I'd put your toes to match my toe back here. There you go. Yep, good wide stance. May I touch you? Mm-hmm. All right, so get into athletic stance, kind of like you're dribbling a ball. Now we're gonna turn our hips back, and now I want you to stick your arm out, no reaching back, and we're just going to coil the upper body. So now you see how if like I was measuring an angle, this would be a lot bigger than where you're normally at, which is kind of here, and you're reaching back and kind of even less than 90. So we get our disc here, not by reaching back, but like you can put your arm like all the way out to where you want your release to be here.
Okay.
And then keep your arm static, don't reach it back. You can twist the hips and twist here, and you haven't moved your arm back at all, and you're in the reach back position.
Okay.
And so it's from here that we then want to throw by sending the arm. And so we also want to keep our arm more like this, because if our arm is here, you can see how then if it hinged, it hinges down.
Okay.
Which would then, if it hinges down and we come through, we're either throwing into the dirt or we're having to swoop up at the last bit.
Yeah.
So we keep this internal shoulder rotation so that when we come through, the arm is here and then it hinges out.
Okay.
This isn't as big as a problem for you, but since you're kind of setting up that way, this was like, let's just address that while we can. So here, just a little bit looser, doesn't need to be as tense. Really, you want more tension up here and through the pec to kind of help create that separation to stop your humerus from collapsing into your chest. But then we want this to be a little bit looser so that we're able to keep our disc on plane. Okay. So now, from here, and bend your knees just a little bit more. There we go. So from here, no more coiling. The disc doesn't come back anymore. Throw the disc. Again. Let's get in. All right, so bend your knees. Coil the hips. Coil the shoulders, yep. Keep your head over your belt buckle. Here we go. Send it. Nice. Loosen this up a little bit. There we go. Stretched out. Send the arm. There we go. Sending the arm, getting it ahead. All right, on that one.
I was trying to send my back arm a little bit faster.
We don't want to send our back arm faster.
Okay.
Because sending your back arm faster brings your chest in faster.
Gotcha.
And so now you're hugging it's back to the thing where you're hugging yourself again.
Okay.
You can just let this thing kind of chill out for now. Like, okay. Ideally, yeah, it comes in and it helps you tuck, and then it comes out and it helps you decelerate the chest. Because the other thing that you have going on is that your release point is like way out here. And so there's, rather than right here, which would be the most optimal for accuracy and for spin. And that's very common with people who have the horizontal collapsing, because if you're all the way here, the disc, unless you somehow get from here and then somehow very rapidly get the disc way ahead of you, what's gonna happen is your body keeps rotating and you kind of get to here where then your body can't rotate anymore, and then the disc is able to eject. And so ideally, keeping the body further back and getting the arm farther ahead gets us to the ejection point at the right time and faster. And so this kind of idea of like, oh, I'm just gonna jam this arm in,
yeah,
and it's just gonna spring my arm out, isn't really actually effective.
Too beneficial?
No, and for the most part, it just leads to people getting really, really collapsed.
There, so this part, arm there.
Mm-hmm. So bend the knees a little bit. Some more. Gotta get that butt kind of out. There you go. So from here, the cue you're thinking about is just getting onto the front leg and elbowing someone in the throat, essentially. Everything else can be relatively still. Much better, right? Yep, wound up, keep going. All right, send the arm. A little bit collapsy again. Let's do another one. I'll film you so you can see. It seems you haven't seen yourself in these positions before. All right, one more. So you're getting it much more coiled. You can see how now I'm able to see your back shoulder, which is indicative of much better coiling spacing. And you see how we kind of are still getting a little bit collapsed, but now see how the disc is in the middle of your chest once it starts making its outward arc, instead of where before it was still all the way kind of at your back shoulder.
Yeah.
And so we're already making improvements to where now the disc is getting into a deeper pocket. You're getting much better leverage on the disc. You're able to curl the disc in rather than kind of being completely just drug along behind. And you'll now notice that your ejection point is earlier. And before, I could not see your back shoulder because of how far around you were. And so we're already making improvements. So really good there. How's it feeling for you?
Not too different.
Yeah, I didn't think it would feel too different.
But I can see it feel, yeah, but it's not like uncomfortable or anything.
Great.
I just need to get to that spot more often.
Yeah. So on these three, I want you to do it much slower, almost as if you're hardly using the body at all, almost like you're doing a 100-foot approach shot with the sole goal of getting your hand into your armpit.
Okay.
So if you want to rep it out slow, we're just right here, we're just coiling back. I'm just coiling in, and then it comes out. I'm back, in, and out. So as you're doing that, watch what your arm is doing. Because on that one, you pulled your arm very down into your armpit. We want to come in to the armpit. So do a slow rep again. Being kind of conscious of where your body's, yep, there you go.
You want me to send one?
Yep, that was a good one.
Okay.
The one before it, you kind of brought it down again. I was like, oh, I'm gonna see if he corrects. There you go. Yes. Very nice. Same thing. One more. So, if we watch that one back, what I'm assuming we're gonna see is that because you've slowed the pace down, that you're able to get even deeper than before. Yep. See how we're now getting deeper? And so that's is to really drill, is that particular thing. So we're gonna do the drill that's kind of like the nuclear option of that, which is most helpful once we move up to higher speeds. So we're gonna grab some of these and we're gonna head over to that tree. And
That weird.
it does, it's not gonna feel normal. Nice, do it again.